There we
Being
go.
broke bitches.
This is Jim Butcher's page, the guy who writes Dresden Files. So
What's he doing with his dog? Oh, he's just laying down. Okay, I'm about to say like, never
I
mind.
don't know. He might be into some stuff.
There's the peanut butter jar. Like, I know he is no longer my favorite author. No, I'm just kidding.
Here we go. Dresden Files.
This is where I started. You know, that I think you had told me about Jim Butcher. You told me about Dresden Files, and then I just like that was in 2015. You didn't tell me about it. Somebody at the Half Price Books told me about it. I told you about it, and you had already been reading it.
Yeah, I was already like two, maybe 3 books in.
Literally, because of this, that's why I became friends with you. Like, fuck YouTube collaboration there. I was just like, yo, if we got something to talk about, we good. From Stormfront all the way up to whatever it is now, this book series has been amazing.
Yep.
Everything about it has been amazing. If you're 25 and up as in age, everything about this you'll enjoy. And you know, even if you're younger too, but like the reason why I say that is because the dude that does the audiobook is James Monsters. I can never pronounce his last name. Marsters.
I think it's James Marsters. I can be wrong.
Keep making it sound like it's a fucking weird
anyway,
cheese or some shit.
He was Spike in Buffy.
Thanks. I'm fine. Just fine. Yeah, just go ahead and tell the rest, motherfucker. Damn. Yeah, he was Spike in Buffy. Amazing voice actor. Does all the characters. Everything is so dope about this series. Not live action. They did do a live action TV show on Sci-Fi. It was horrible, by the way. But the series, amazing.
Did it start? My bad to interrupt you, but did it start the whole genre of urban magic fantasy and all of that?
It did not start it,
but it was like one of the big ones.
One of the big ones. This man, I don't even remember when Stormfront came out, because Stormfront came out I think before 2015. But before this, there wasn't a lot of sci-fi pop culture books. Like, they were there. This one, like, this series, every book after it was modeled after Dresden Files in some form.
That's how popular it was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, you had Harry Potter that was kind of like pop culture, but it was also fantasy, where it was like real world England, but nothing about it was like
modern. It was like its own thing.
Yeah, it was its own thing where it's like, okay, it's like basically Harry Potter's an isekai. If you want to take it that, you go through this fucking
magic portal
into this witch and wizard world. This is different. This is like if witches and wizards were in our everyday lives, but you don't know it because they have a good way of hiding it. And then they also have fairy creatures,
vampires, all that shit.
All the different types of vampires. I loved it. It was a twist on everything that we know of what fantasy is right now. Like we have 4 different types of vampires. I'm not going to tell you all of them. I'll tell you 2 of them. There's a black court vampire, red court vampire. Red court vampires are like the typical everyday vampires with like suck your blood, turn to bats, all that kind of shit. And then you have black court vampires. They're more like zombies. They feed on your life essence, not just your blood, just your life essence. Amazing what they do. What Jim Butcher does with his stories. Everything you can think of, from the Easter Bunny to fucking Santa Claus, is in this fucking book. It's like it's the idea of what the original story was. You know, like the Wild Hunt and all these things, like what the original story was, and then what we turned them into, like Thor. Right? We think of Thor as this like fucking Marvel character. When we look at Thor, he's like this fat dude.
Yeah, and then he was an asshole.
Yeah, that's like all that kind of stuff is in the book. Angels, demons, and like everything. It's like I couldn't think of like there's nothing
that isn't in the book.
Yeah, that isn't in the book, and he does it so well. And the part that I love the most is that Stormfront. He was already an established author before this, and he had like I think a master's degree in writing. To this class, I want to say was it in Massachusetts? I don't remember. Deborah Wright or Deborah something was his teacher. She had wrote like 40-something novels, or either 40-something novels or 40-something series. Like she wrote a lot, like a lot. I even have her book somewhere. Oh, here it is. Give me 1 second.
All right. speaking of magic portals, you're going to go in the magic portal off the camera and grab that book.
Yeah. The fantasy fiction formula. She wrote this book. Her name is Deborah Chester. So when Jim Butcher went to her class, he already had like a degree in creative writing and all this other shit. She had this formula out, and she tells him to do this formula. He is so against this formula that he placed a bet. He was like, I will do your formula. I will write a book with your formula just to prove how bad it is.
Is that how Dresden Files got started? Like, is that what he meant?
Book became Stormfront, and it became a New York Times bestseller.
Proved her fucking wrong. Oh, no, proved him wrong. how many books he got out? Look at all these books on the screen, you know?
Bro. It was, and it's in here. That's in here, and that's on. I think he did the. I forgot what you call it. The first part, the preface,
appendix, or whatever they call it.
Whatever the fuck that is. I'm not a writer, but yeah, like it's that became Stormfront, and I think Stormfront. I think it was supposed to be the automatic detective or something like that before, or the machine gun detective or something. But yeah, that was supposed to be a one-off series.
Oh, is that why Dresden carries the gun?
No, I don't remember why. Like I remember it was just an alternate name, and they just turned it into Stormfront eventually. Okay, but it was supposed to be a one-off book, not a series. But the book was so
popular,
loved,
yeah, just kept it going.
Bruh, there's a part in here that says don't have a talking head. You know what a talking head is?
I know what it is in books and media, but I don't know if the concept is.
Basically just a character that's there to give exposition.
Exposit exposition. Okay. Yeah. The problem with modern movies now, with a lot of them.
And he saw that, and he made Bob a literal
talking head, and made him knowledge. And you're like, when you need to know something that's old, let me talk to Bob. Just exposit exposition. But it was cool because he gave Bob a fucking character.
Yes, it's amazing. The formula, I read this book almost cover. It works. It's amazing.
How many clones of this book series have you and I both read? That tells you it works.
Like way too many clones, and they do not live up to it. Like I read I think something from the Dark Side or something like that. This English is basically an English version of this, right? But it's based in London, and they even have the exact same way to transport into the Fae, and they call it the other side. It's just like, dude, it's the same. It's the same shit.
Or like the Druid one you was telling me about with the guy, he had the talking dogs, and the talking.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's good though. That was good though.
It's good. The Druid story is pretty damn good. At least that story went with the Pantheon. And stayed with that Pantheon and didn't really go too far out of there. And it's unique. The characters are kind of unique. So there's some, ever so often there will be some series that are like, oh, this jumps out a little bit. The Druid stories, Druid, I think the Druid Chronicles or something like that. I think that's what it's called. That one was pretty good, but like it doesn't really hold a candle to the Dresden Files. And I don't think there's going to be that many stories that actually do, especially with wizards in this Maskell. Wizards in pop culture, it's going to be hard to beat that. You have to kind of like, you can do fantasy and pop culture, but you have to create another kind of person as your main character.